Alright, y'all, peace. So I want to address what Curtis Lewa said the other day. Curtis Lewa was running for mayor of New York City as a Republican, and he said something that kind of bothered me, and that's why I'm gonna speak on it. He said that New York City was safe under Giuliani, and that's what most people say, or a lot of people he spoke to say. Well, I was a teenager mostly when Giuliani was mayor. He became mayor in '94, so I was a freshman, '93, '94, and so basically my whole high school years and college, Giuliani was mayor, and I could definitely tell you, especially us guys from the hood, or who are African American or Puerto Rican, person of color, whatever you want to say, we called it the grimy 90s because it was grimy and it was rough, which means it wasn't safe. It was safe maybe for certain people. I think Giuliani made it safe for, Park Avenue people in Manhattan, and maybe Windsor Terrace, downtown Brooklyn, but it wasn't safe. It wasn't really. Wasn't really safe for us, and I never really felt like it was safe. There's time I still have fun. I'm a teenager, but there were times when I could have gotten jumped, packed out, robbed. I've seen that. I saw that a lot back then. Never saw too many police near my high school, even though my high school was wild and crazy. I went to James Madison High School. James Madison High School in Brooklyn, and it was crazy. But yeah. So, and that was all throughout the Giuliani years, and of course, organized crime, mafia. Because at that time, me and my moms lived between Midwood and Bensonhurst Avenue. And that was kind of near the mafia wars. The first, because I moved afterwards with my mom because she was going to keep me in Williamsburg. And the second year, because I moved in '83, summer of '83, '84, that's when they killed the girl, 14-year-old girl. They dumped her body in the dumpster underneath the F train in Avenue M. That was like 84 would be my first full year in that neighborhood. So the mafia or organized crime, they had some pull around there. Even when Giuliani was mayor, they had the older shop right underneath the F train. I know the Italian family across the street from us in a nice little house. There was mafia. Don't know about the Italian family to the left of us in the house. We lived in an apartment building, but it was rough before that. I started seeing it when David Dinkins was mayor, but it was crazy and wild. Like after when Giuliani became mayor, like it was wild. And these are teenagers, you know what I'm saying? I'm a grown man now, so I'm not scared to talk about these guys I were in my high school, but they were teenagers and running around, jumping people, robbing people for their coats and jackets. And now, whether or not the police were reporting it, that's a different story. But to say that it was safe, to say that people felt safe, my mother never felt safe. It was crazy. And she was worried for me, and a lot of these, my mother used to work in the store across the street, so they a few times they tried to steal stuff, and these Italian guys, they were like, yo, don't worry, we take care of it. One Italian guy, an older guy, my mother told me that he told her, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it, you let us know, I got you, I'll give you my phone number, blah, blah, blah. And then she introduced me to some of the younger guys that worked in the auto shop across the street that, were Italian, and I guess they was kind of down. So, but and that's like very early in Giuliani's administration. I remember that was 94, but 95, 96, and 97, teenagers were doing some wild stuff, and of course, a politician or the police can't stop that, right? At the end of the day, it's up to the parents. Most of us come from single mothers, so it's up to the mother to decide how she's gonna raise a kid, if she decides to. Because if she don't want to, then it's on her. But being that you had a bunch of teenagers running wild and no morals, and me getting into confrontations with a good number of them, I'm not gonna say I got into a lot of fights, but it was crazy, and later on in high school, even my third year in high school, the short kid I knew, they even dragged him into a car. He told me they did that, and they said, oh, they were just joking around. These were stick-up kids, and they had told him some months earlier, hey, who you yelling at? Because he was yelling at, joking around, yelling at somebody across the street from the bus stop. So, he said they were just joking around, but, he don't know them like that. And they probably dragged him into the car. It was a kidnapping. They probably gave him a warning. So those teenagers do those kinds of things. If teenagers are outside at an early age, they're gonna do shit like that. They're gonna do stuff like that. And these teenagers were acting like grown men. And this was going on for a long time. Even after I graduated from high school, I heard that people were getting robbed by box cutters. Stick-up kids would just hang out in the school. We had metal detectors, but of course, the stick-up kids that went to my school, they had friends from other schools. They would just come around and hang out outside and do whatever. And so, that's just the way it is, And so to say that it was completely safe under Giuliani, that New York City was wonderful, if you listen to the songs, if you listen to the hip-hop community, if you listen to us in general, where we come from, that's what we call it, the grimy 90s, the grimy 90s. Niggas was getting set up, robbed, Yeah, did that with Tupac. They did it with Guru, rest in peace, also, from Gangstar. That's what was going down in the 90s. It was crazy. It was stuff like that was going on in the 80s, but I wasn't too sure about it or didn't know about it because I was a kid. But yeah, 90s was just grimy, it was dirty, and so it was not. I didn't feel. I wouldn't say scared. I didn't feel scared. I was hanging out after high school myself, but I had to watch my back. I had to keep my eyes open. If I saw some individuals, then I'm like, okay, let me avoid a situation. Let me walk the other way. Not that I'm a coward, but I can't fight 10 guys. You know what I'm saying? And it was like that in the 90s under Giuliani. It was like that. And people forget around the time, I think it's 98, 99, I want to say 99, when Guru from Gangstar got robbed. That was right before, a few months before rapper Big L got killed and Freaky Ty from the Lost Boys got killed, if you're familiar with hip-hop. And that was in New York City. Both got killed in New York City. New York City was not safe. It was. I used to hear about the tunnel. I never been in the tunnel. I used to hear about it when I was younger, and people were getting robbed in the tunnel. Even before the tunnel became hip hop, when the tunnel was just a regular club, people were getting. I heard about somebody being killed right outside the tunnel in 1989. 1989. I was way before the thug era, you know, way before the thug era, and you know, so I definitely disagree with Curtis Lewa. If somebody brings it up to him, he probably make an excuse or whatever. Oh, it's just that community. Well, community is community. You know, New York City is New York City, and you gotta look out for everybody. You know, and I'm sorry I'm slurring my words. But I just came from work. I'm tired. But yeah, I definitely. So New York City wasn't safe under Giuliani, and for everybody that, all the Trump supporters and everybody that consider Giuliani America's mayor, who are not from New York City, I'm here to tell you, it was not safe under Giuliani. It wasn't. It was still grimy. People were getting robbed, stabbed, shot, killed. We lost some great artists under that time in New York City, so it, you know, in no way, shape, or form was it completely safe at that time in New York City under Giuliani. You know, he made it safe for the better neighborhoods like Park Avenue, Manhattan, you know, Windsor Terrace, you know, which is good. You know, we're all human beings. They need to be safe and protected. I don't want to see somebody that's living a good life being hassled, you know what I'm saying, robbed or whatever. But what about us? We were not protected. And you know, my mother went through a domestic situation at that time. So, you know, people say things to make themselves look good. People say things to make a certain politician look good. And it's all politics. It's all politics. Curtis Lewa is now trying to be a politician. He's playing politics. But he's been saying that for a long time. And it's just not true that New York City was really safe under Giuliani. For him, maybe, in his mind. But he, you know, and so subway trains. Me and my mom used to take the subway trains on weekends back then. And, you know, there were homeless people here and there. There were fights here and there. It wasn't, I wouldn't say that, I wasn't taking the train too much back then, but I was in the late 90s. And, you know, I guess it depends on what train you're taking to. But in general, it was not completely safe under Giuliani. And I'm sorry if I broke anybody's hearts, especially if you're conservative, you know. But yeah, I didn't feel safe under Giuliani. So, you know, I don't know who's yelling, but yeah, I guess that's it. That's all I wanted to say, because it's been eating me, and I don't like, because I felt there was an indifference toward us at that time. You know, with of all people of color, you know, I felt like it was indifference, that they didn't care how we felt, because we were the problem. You know, like every one of us was robbing people. Don't get me wrong, it was a lot of stick-up kids in my high school from Flatbush, but not every kid in my high school from Flatbush was a stick-up kid. And I got into it with white kids too. There was a lot of grimy white kids from Bensonhurst and Mill Basin, but nobody ever talks about that, you know. And I lived it, you know. I was there. I had the altercations, you know, and all that. So, you know, teenagers in general telling me they're gonna kill me and all that, all talk, but still, if it's safe, it's supposed to be safe in the high school. It's supposed to be safe in the hood, and it wasn't. And that's just a fact. You know, you could pull out numbers, but if you want to pull out numbers, the numbers of the murder rate really went down under de Blasio. But I can't just say de Blasio, because it's going down under Bloomberg also. It was going under Giuliani. It was going down under David Dinkins. There's no one crime, and the murder rate specifically in general was going down anyway, because so many people were getting killed in New York City at one time. It just had to go down. But you know, that's false. You know, that's false. And in no way. I lived through it. You know, thank God I'm okay. 2000s, same thing. I mean, the crime life is a cycle. So you might have like a 2-year period, 3-year period where everything is all good. And the next 3 years is you're bumping into shit and you're seeing shit. And that's the way it is in New York City. New York City is a big city. You're not gonna get rid of crime just like that. You're not gonna stop the murder rate just like that. It doesn't happen that way. And the parents, the mothers, the single mothers, they have to play a part, you know, because I turned out okay. You know, I didn't become a bully or a stick-up kid, you know. So that's all I wanted to say, you know what I mean? Hope everybody is safe out there in New York City. And anywhere else you're watching this video. I know it's been a while, so I know my algorithms are not going to go up right away, but you know, as I do this, like I said from the very beginning, just to express myself, express my opinion, you know, and I am from the grimy 90s of Brooklyn, and you know, definitely I had to watch my back, you know, I definitely had to watch my back, and my mother's back too, you know, so yeah, yo, and as far as the election, I don't live in New York City anymore. I still work in New York City. You know, so I'm not gonna comment on who I would have voted for, because I usually vote for third party anyway. I usually vote for a third party candidate anyway. So, but anyway, I'm out. Be safe, everybody, and you know what I'm saying. Till next time, peace.